Hey, good morning everybody. It's Clint with CCUA. Got another VEG Out video for you today. Today we're going to talk a little bit about shelf life and about how fruits get from the plant to our stores and why you might notice some fruits taste different. So one really good example of this is strawberries. So strawberries are a super delicious, tasty fruit, which I'm sure you know, but also kind of soft. So let's see if we can find a ripe strawberry and take a look at it. And there's going to be plenty down here. Let's see. Here's a good example. Here we have a nice ripe strawberry. Let's show you what it looks like on the inside. See how it's got nice red flavor, or red flavor, nice red color all the way through it, except for that very middle stem. That means that it's ripe, it's ready to eat, and it ripened on the plant. Now, that strawberry would have probably only been good for maybe another day before it started getting too squishy on the vine. And you can see a few examples of that if you look close enough down in here. Like this one here. Kind of looks good on the surface, but you can see this one side is really squishy, too soft, which means it's starting to go bad, or has gone bad. Now that can make it really tricky for growing strawberries and then getting them into the store. Strawberries have to travel a long way to get to the store. A lot of places that grow strawberries are places where it's warm all year round, like California, and Mexico, and they grow the strawberries, and they have to put them in boxes, ship them on trucks, planes, boats, all the way to wherever they're going, and then they sit there on the shelf for at least a few days before you buy them. So how can a strawberry that's already almost ripe last that long traveling so far? And the answer is that it can't. So most strawberries are picked before they are ripe. So they're pulled off before they're red. And there's not very many good examples of those down here. Here might be one. This might be a strawberry that is picked. It's just starting to blush. And then it will slowly ripen as it starts to, as it's being transferred. That way they get ripe by the time they get to the store. But since they didn't ripen on the plant, they don't have quite that same nice strawberry taste. That's why sometimes when you go to the store, the strawberries don't taste quite like the strawberries that you might pick right out of the patch. And strawberries fresh from the plant are one of my favorite things. But some fruit you can't do that with. So we're going to take a look at mulberry next. A mulberry is a fruit that you can't buy in most stores. In fact, at least I've never seen a mulberry for sale at a grocery store. And looks like we got a stray hat here we're going to pick up. So a mulberry is a tree. In fact, we're going to come look at one right over here. This is a nice, beautiful red berry. You can see a good selection right here. They start off green and tiny and tough, and then as they ripen, they turn red, and finally at the end, this nice, dark, almost black color, but of course if you crush it, you get that nice red juice. But, and there's another one. But the problem is that mulberries are so soft and so hard to pick that it's not really worth it for most growers, for anyone to really try and grow this to sell. You might find some mulberries at a farmer's market or at a farm stand, but you're not going to find them in a big grocery store, which is a shame because they're super tasty. But because they're so hard to pick and they are so soft and they don't last well, you can't really pick them before they're ripe. Then you don't get to buy these in the store. But Fortunately, mulberries are super common. I've seen them all over town. And if you see a mulberry tree like this, you can actually eat them. It's like that. But they're still kind of a pain. There's so many of them. They're so tiny, and they're oftentimes really spread out. So we are going to show you a fun method for harvesting your own mulberries. So what I've got here is just an old sheet that I pulled out from an old dresser. Doesn't get used anymore. It was in the giveaway pile. But we are going to repurpose this into a mulberry harvester. You can also use a tarp. Tarp is really popular, but here this is already clean. I wouldn't have to clean it, so this is what we're going to do. So what you want to do is get underneath a mulberry tree like this. And in fact, I'm going to have to move a few of these benches out of the way. Be warned that mulberry juice will stain your clothes. It's super red. So what you do with a mulberry is you take your sheet and lay it out on the ground. Just make sure our blanket gets nice and spread out here. And then once you've got it on the ground, all you got to do is shake the tree. And there you go. You've got a bunch of mulberries. So some of them are ripe, some of them are not quite ripe. We've got some sticks and we got some leaves, but that's all right because we can get rid of all that stuff later. But now you just gotta roll them in towards the middle. And it can be good to have a few red ones in there too, because that adds some nice tartness. But there we go. Now we've got a nice big pile of mulberries that we can enjoy. Probably got enough there to make a tiny little pie. Well, thanks for joining us today, everybody. We will see you all soon for another VEG Out video.